Hello and welcome to Talking Dogs on a Monday. Once again, we are talking all things Sporting Press Online Edition, Irish Oaks. As always, I'm joined by the exiled dub, Tommy Lyons, from his Youghal base, and we once again have the wonderful presence that is Jason Craddock. Jason, firstly, you're very welcome indeed. A big week for the Sporting Press, of course, the oldest sponsorship in Irish Greyhound racing. Up to the final of the Sporting Press Online Edition, Irish Oaks, on Saturday night. Big week and a cracking race to look forward to.
Oh, it's a brilliant final again. You know, it's moved the old guard away and the young guard's coming through. It's a very interesting final. Scooby Dutches for me, but great draw. But it's a quality field right down.
Well, Jason, they don't even have to watch till the end now. You have to give in your selection. So we'll just talk to Tommy for next while. Tommy, you're very welcome. Good racing in the Oaks. It's safe to say one heat was over pretty early. The other heat went right down to the wire.
You told us you're playing golf after the recording, so Jason just wants to be quick about things. Yeah, I think it's a match between 1 and 3. Look,
it was a big weekend for Greyhound Sport. Obviously, enough. We'll touch on a few. We had the Race of Champions on Friday night, featuring some exceptional names. Budget, who was the reigning dog of the year and reigning bitch of the year and supreme tracker of the year, that came through and landed the semi-finals. More about that later on. It was a strange weekend in Towcester. Once again, we saw some big names going through and some big names going out. The 3 Irish winners from 4 heats sound like a great successful night, but in all it was a pretty disastrous display, in a sense where 4 of our 10 only got through, and our hopes of winning the English Derby are hanging on by a thread. And then, of course, we had the Sporting Press Online Edition, Irish Oaks. Jason, just remind people we have an offer going on at present with the Sporting Press for the duration of the competition. You can buy the edition for €2 instead of 4.
That's right. We're just trying to reward our loyal membership and build it up as well. And there's also an offer on for the year, €156 for the year if you subscribe now.
So instead of €4 a week, it costs you €3 a week, €156. It's a no-brainer because everybody's buying it anyway, week in, week out. It's the Bible as far as greyhound racing and coursing is concerned. So that €3 as opposed to 4, well, 25% off, nothing wrong with that.
While costs are going up everywhere else, the Sporting Press is trying to help everyone.
What can I say? They might as well register as a charitable organisation, Jason.
Exactly, just like the PGA.
Yeah, we're not going into the Live and PGA sort of debate right now. Let's talk about the Oaks, because we had 2 wonderful semi-finals to look back on. The opening heat featured a bitch called Raha Mofo. Tommy, you might have heard for her. I pointed her out to you in the opening round. She looked a hell of a lady. It's fair to say she's come on since then. She has become a pretty professional sort. She's gone up strongly in her last 3 outings. Didn't get to the front last week, but on this latest start, she pinged out, and it was over as a contest after 3 strides.
She's almost a very different bitch than she was in the first round, in the sense that I expect her to lead the other day, and I tipped her for that reason in the heat, because I thought she would lead out of traps. And maybe I was going to say there aren't many heats you'd expect her to lead in, but there probably are. She is a very good breaker. It's just getting into that first bend is the key to her. But she was 3 lengths clear in a matter of strides the other night. And
she has a certain amount of consistency at the boxes. If you look at her section,
yeah,
she's very consistent at those lids.
She is. That's exactly what she is, Ian. That's probably the best way of saying it. She's really consistent out of the boxes. Not necessarily a flying early pacer. And if you have a Scooby Dutchess in there next week, and even Ballymacart, where you have 2 of them inside her next week, probably expect her to turn probably 3rd. But if she does that, she's probably in a great position to win the competition, to win the final, because she's ridiculously strong. Performance was as good as anything in the competition so far, I would say. That performance the other night. There were really strong bitches behind. Yeah, there was bits of trouble and whatever else, but she really put them to the sword from the start and just kicked clear, and there was never any doubt about what the result was going to be.
No, certainly not. 28-16. You said there, the consistency. If you look at her card prior to Saturday night, 215, 216, 216, 216. Back in February 18, 212. The other night, Jason, she did a 208. It was almost like a sense where things are getting serious now. I just need to put in just that little bit sharper of a start. She did so, and we've seen enough in the last few weeks that when she turned in front, she's going to continue to really grind it out. And that's exactly what she did. She went on to win by 7.5 lengths. Obviously, she was aided by traffic on the corner, but nothing was going to get close to her anyway.
The race was over at the start. She came out like a Susie Sapphire almost. And when she's gone around the first bend clear, that's it. The strongest runner in the race in front, race over. And, you know, we've been sort of, you know, cheerleaders of the sort of Raha Mofo fan club right since the first round. Yeah. You know, she was running in A5 6 weeks ago. Yeah. And suddenly, you know, there she is, second favourite for the Oaks.
Yeah, Bernard Barry, the bookmaker at Shelburne Park, I was talking to him yesterday. He said he was speaking to Stephen Molloy, who's Marissa's uncle. He won't be there on Saturday night. He's off to Madison Square Garden because their nephew is fighting his second professional fight. Marissa had already stated to me that if the bitch got to the final, given how close the links and how sentimental the links are, you know, it was the last dog it was one of the last two dogs her father, late father, bought. Marissa said, I think I'll leave my flights and my accommodation where it is. I think I'll be staying in Shelburne Park for the Irish Oaks. Fair play to her. It's a big trip to miss out on. Obviously, her nephew Kieran will certainly have plenty of other big nights. But you know, Madison Square Garden for a boxing card, it's you know, it's a hard one to miss out on. But I suppose if you are going to miss it, a presence in a final of an Oaks is a good enough reason as any.
I'll be looking for the trip on eBay to see if we can get a cheap trip to Madison Square Garden.
Got to Marissa, change your name, you're away. Tommy Raha Mofo, again, she's there on merit, no question about it. She just, like, it's hard to believe she is only September, so you know she won't be 2 years of age for another 2 to 3 months. Mert Lahey, he had a big night at Shelburne Park the other evening. I said, it was actually Carol Ramsbottom I was talking to after racing, and I said, you know, I said, it's getting very regular here. Mert is coming in with 2, 3, 4 winners. You know, he had a massive night the other evening. Not only did he, you know, win the Oaks semi-final with Raha Mofo, he had treble on the night at Shelburne Park, and he also won the feature down at Curraheen, the Deadly Kennels Open 750. He's rapidly, obviously he was already one of Ireland's very top trainers, but suddenly Graham Holland needs to be looking over his shoulder. This man is training some winners.
Yeah, look, we have an abundance of talent in it when it comes to training greyhounds. I think there's no question of that. But like you're right, it's in the last while where it's really kind of come to prominence. Where it's an awful thing to say, but we do allude to it a lot without pushing it too hard. But like, it's until you come to Shelburne Park and produce it on a regular basis in Shelburne Park, you don't really get the recognition. It doesn't mean you're not a brilliant trainer if you're confined to for travel reasons or for whatever else.
In truth, it's gone to the situation where the lack of open racing outside Dublin, you nearly have to come there if you have the ammunition, but you also have to have the ammunition to be able to win in Shelburne Park.
And I could argue all day that it's entirely wrong not to have the open competition around the country, because if you want to attract people in, like, it's fine. We all want to see young pups coming through and maybe the next generation of superstars. But if you're not seeing them, you know, start the development in open company at some of the country tracks, then what is the point? Like, you're not going to be going, you know, you're not going to be attracted to going racing for A5s, A6s every night. You're just not. Like, you know, you want to see a bit of quality in there. So, yeah, like you're right in the sense that is where all the open racing is, and we need to look at that a little bit and see if there's something can be done, because if you focus too much on one, like, I'd have this idea in my head all along, because there has been a lot of talk over the years. If you start closing more tracks, the sport will disappear, because people that are out there who are producing the young pups and starting them off and doing the groundwork with them, they'll disappear, and all of a sudden it'll be it'll get so tight there'll be nothing left.
Yeah,
and that's the way I see it. I don't think. I know the way they can say, oh, you want to reduce expenses by closing tracks or whatever else, but that, to my mind, that's very short-sighted. That's very, very short-sighted. That might reduce expenses now for a couple of years, but in a couple of years' time, when you have a shortage of dogs and you've no source for them, you've no sport.
You're decreasing a reason to breed dogs in the first place.
You look at sometimes you have to incur an expense for the greater good of the game, and that's what you have to do with some of the tracks. They really have to work to make sure tracks don't close, rather than thinking, how can we get them closed? Because that's what the focus seems to be at times. That's what you get into your head, whether that is a focus or not. That might be unfair to say it that way, but you know what I mean. It feels like that's a focus.
Yeah, you know, if you look around the country, there's not one track in the country that hasn't produced a champion at some point. You know what I mean? You know, English Derby winners, Irish Derby winners, Classic winners, they've all come from various different tracks throughout the country. Obviously, nowadays we have the likes of the Classics and whatnot, and the unraced stakes where they generally start. But every track has produced a champion, and that will continue to be the case as long as these tracks stay open.
100%, Ian. 100%. But also there are people. associated with the tracks, even just taking y'all in my own mind, without mentioning names, there are a lot of people around here who breed dogs, who qualify them in yawl, or who develop them in yawl. They mightn't race them themselves, because that's what they do. They breed, they bring them to a certain point, and they sell them to owners in Ireland, owners in the UK, and they are extremely important people. You take away that, their name mightn't appear on a card every night of the week. It might never appear on a card in Youghal or Enniscorthy or Galway or wherever else, but they are extremely important people. And when you close a track, you don't just close it to the owners and trainers who are there all the time. You close it to the breeders who are in the vicinity as well. So I think we need to focus on getting good quality racing around the track, and actually developing the tracks and trying to attract people into them for their future.
Yeah, indeed. Jason, a lot there to digest, but I'm sure you agree with the general points.
Well, I find if you close the track, only half the people will go elsewhere and half the people will drift out the game. You can't afford to lose any more people to the game.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree.
There couldn't be a worse time either, with the cost of traveling and everything at the moment. There couldn't possibly be a worse time than there is right now, and this isn't going to improve overnight in the sense of the expenses that people are incurring now. So I mean, it was never more important to work to make sure that we keep all these tracks open.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get back to the Oaks. Raha Mofo, we were speaking there about Mert Leahy. More and more we see through social media, the team that are behind the name on the card. Certainly with Mert Leahy, we now know that Deirdre is spearheading the operation at home. He's got daughters. When there's women, and I don't mean to sound like I'm not trying not to sound sexist.
Be careful.
But when there's women behind the scenes with dogs, there's no question they react better to them. I don't care what anyone says, and I think they're as big a part in the operation as Mert himself. Did I get away with that one?
No, I'm leaving that one with you, Ian.
But you know what I mean.
I do, of course, I do know what you mean, Ian, but look, I went away on a tangent there for a while, but going back to the point is, Mert Leahy is really, and the team, and it always is a team behind it, always is. They have established themselves right at the very top now, and for quite some time. And you say what's most impressive is it's not just one dog coming here and there, and every 6 months there's one dog appearing. They're appearing in bunches again, which is extremely important for a kennel to try to compete at the very top level. But Raha Mofo is a kind of a. I remember at the start, and this is typical me now. Anyway, when I think of things, I always look from a kind of a punting perspective, from my point of view, just because just one of the angles I try to bring to this. And so when you were raving about Raha Mofo in the first round, and rightly so, because she showed tremendous pace, but she hadn't shown early pace. And if you look back to her form before that, her last run, as Jason said, was an A5. Her run before that was an A4. So she was even dropping back, and she was dropping back in grade. Her run before the Oaks, she did 28-26 and won by half the track in her last run prep for the Oaks. But she took a huge step forward. And what you need to do is to prove you can do it on a consistent basis after that. So it's fine to show what she showed in the first round of the Oaks, but until she goes and does something like this, you kind of can't really give her the credit. She has to go and prove it. And I think what she's done, she's getting close. She's getting closer to a perfect greyhound, in the sense of can break, can get the bend in front. She did the other night. Okay, there will be more early pace, as we said, in future races, particularly next Saturday night will be a good test of her. But she's showing something a lot more. She developed an awful lot in the last few weeks, even since that impressive kind of finishing speed that she showed in the first round that you were raving about, and rightly so. You know what I mean? It was a huge performance in a one-off at the time, but now it's every week. So she's just developed into a proper talent.
She has indeed. I think she's a penny dropper. There's no question about that. She's a late developer in the sense, I know she's only September, but she's had those 10 or 12 starts and she's learned the game. And maybe that first night she did eat a little bit on the opening corner, but it was probably the first time when she was in that position, that dogs had raced up around her. And she was like, whoa, hang on. Normally when I'm in front, I get to stay in front. And maybe that was just the case. She's a very talented lady, no question about it. Behind her, Jason, there was traffic. There's no question about it. Droopy's Dross and Reckless Nanny, they were out of the equation from the opening bend. Tullivan Vita, who's been improving all the while, going up strongly, staying on the outside. She runs a lovely line. She went through into second spot. Once doing so, we know how strong she is. She wasn't going to be picked up for second. There was a bit of a battle for third. Ballymac Miranda, who Tommy has championed a bit, I thought she was going to struggle to qualify here. She really dug in because Ballymac Whisper was on her tail on more than one or two occasions. And I thought Ballymac Whisper probably had the chances to get by, just couldn't. Ballymac Miranda ran right to the line. But behind Rahamofo, like, they have a bit to find to challenge her on this form. But, Tullivan Vita, given how well she has been running, is probably deserving of a little bit of luck.
Well, I thought the biggest disappointment was Ballymac Whisper. Going down the back straight, you thought she was nailed on to qualify, and she couldn't get past the two. No disrespect to the two, but what she's done in previous rounds, you'd have thought she'd have gone 2 or 3 lengths in front of her, in front of the two going around the third bend, but she just couldn't get past her, and it wasn't her form. Quite disappointing, really.
Tommy, Tullivan Vita running well. You want to touch upon the Ballymac Whisper, Ballymac Miranda?
Yeah, they obviously bumped quite heavily at the first bend, and maybe she got tightened up against the rails, as well as getting, squeeze up maybe the sandwich between Ballymac Miranda and the rails, and maybe that's what happened, because like Jason, when I saw her in a shares of third place coming out of the second bend, you say she's a certainty to finish third at worst and probably second, to be honest about it, because she was literally in line with Ballymac Miranda. But Ballymac Miranda again, and twice or 3 times in the race, actually, if you watch it, Ballymac Miranda just took off again when she felt like she was being challenged along the inner. She did it down at halfway to get maybe a length out of Ballymac Whisper. She did it again when she swung wide into the straight and Ballymac Whisper went up her inside. She picked up again just in the closing stages again. So I agree with Jason. I don't think it was Ballymac Whisper's form, but I think that might have been down to what happened during the race. But you'd have to like the attitude of Ballymac Miranda. It just didn't happen for Drewby's last, did it, Ian? I mean, got trouble.
No, she missed a kick. It was a race where it was. I'm not saying it was open for her, but in a race where we perceived there was a lack of early speed. Obviously, Rahamofo was very consistent boxes. But we thought if Drewby's Gloss, like this, is the same Drewby's Gloss that led around a juvenile derby final against the likes of Serene Easton and Co. That if she had hit the lid, she probably would have shown her early speed. But she hasn't hit the lids in this competition, and it cost her. She was improving into the corner. She got done, and it just didn't happen. Herself and Rectus Nanny were left out with the washing early.
There were a couple of occasions during the competition where we thought, she might have got away with something a little, and it was look at that, get away with it or showing that enough little bit of class to get through when things weren't going right for her. She just came up short this time. The times at which she went for a run down to the third bend, into the first bend, down to the third bend, they were just the gaps weren't there. She wasn't, she left herself just that tiny bit too much work to do. So look, she's still a smashing bitch, but I kind of thought it was a kind of case of, as I said last week, for Myrtley, he was to close your eyes and hope going to the bend, because I thought Rahamofo would lead. I actually anticipated more that Drewby's Glass would be trying to challenge on her outer, and Rahamofo tends to just edge a little bit right out of the traps. And it actually nearly worked the other way, because Drewby's Glass, she missed it so badly. There was actually a gap there, but then she just left us have too much work to get into the bend. So it's a pity, but hey, we still have plenty of quality for next week.
I think in hindsight, we'll be looking back at this opening semi-final in 2 or 3 months' time, and unless they're back into bitch company, I can't imagine any of them running 5-2-5 too many more times, unless it's back in bitch company. I think they're all want a bit further. Even Drewby's Gloss now probably wants the 550. Certainly, Reckless Nanny is set for. I think she could be a bit of a star over 6 bends. Ballymac Whisper certainly wants further. Ballymac Miranda, you could run her any old trip. She starts and she stays, and whether she's sharp enough for the 5-2-5, but she'll certainly win plenty of 550s, and it goes without saying Rahamofo will stay further, and Tullivan Vita will certainly stay further as well. On to the second semi-final, and this was this was an eventful contest. Ballymac Art led up the inside. She did what she had to do. Fahy Devine went up very strongly, but Ballymac Art just mastered her off the second bend. You knew Fahy Devine was going to struggle to hold on then, especially with the likes of Drewby's Next One and Scooby Duchess turning third and fourth. The expected run from Drewby's Next One didn't quite come down the back straight. Instead, it was Scooby Duchess that showed all the pace into the third bend. Drewby's Next One came back at her at that point, but Scooby Duchess got the run up the inside, hit the front, and then just again, the fuel gauge sort of dropped. She just ran out of steam. She'd done an awful lot of running to get there. In contrast, Drewby's Next One absolutely hammered up the home straight, with Kieran Lynch getting one through in the opening heat and Johnny Linehan winning the second heat. I'd say it's exciting times down at Cork, Tommy.
Yeah, I'm only going to say one line here because for the moment, because I think Jason is should take this one, because I think we're going to find out why he fancies Scooby Duchess rightly so much for next week's final. But there were 3 or 4 points during the race where I thought the Droopy's next one couldn't win, and she just seemed to find another gear at the last bend. When she switched wide, even at the last bend, you're going, oh no,
I'd say she even switched gear at the 550 boxes, like the last 60 yards. She just seemed to fly.
Yeah, she just another gear, just took off. It was impressive. Now, like, we can say why it might have been slightly exaggerated in one sense. Obviously, Scooby Duchess had done a lot of her running by that point and was just feeling the effects of having done the running. But I think this is a heat for Jason. I think he might explain to us exactly why he fancies Scooby Duchess.
Yeah, Jason, work away. Talk us through this one.
How long do you want me to take, Ian? Because I know you're on the first tee very, very soon, and Tommy's taking a while.
Let's just say you're on the clock, Jason. You're on the clock.
On the clock. Well, first of all, the other night, Droopy's next one and Scooby Duchess were the wrong way round. And Scooby Duchess wanted inside, next one wanted further out. But Scooby Duchess didn't come away. No, is about 4th at the first bend. Absolutely took off down the back, and the petrol tank's on empty. She's 14 weeks out of the season, can only get better. Now she's got a plum track one in the final. Droopy's next one ran a good race, no question about it. It was fastest in the quarterfinals, 28.07. And if it had been drawn out further around and got more of a clearer run, would have took some beating. And it's still a great final. You can't rule any of the big 3 out. Droopy's next one's got track 5, which is probably a bit too far out. But with a plum draw, Scooby Duchess coming out of season, track 1, desperate the other night. The petrol. She only ran out of petrol in the last 50 yards. She has to be the one.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you for all the same reasons. Just Droopy's next one, Johnny Linehan and Kieran Lynch. Yeah, but Johnny Linehan has a record in the Oaks. He's had some success in it. There's been a lot of good Cork success in the Oaks over the last 10 or 20 years. But Droopy's next one, she's your definitive bitch that has found her form through the Oaks, running against the bitches. She was a little bit inconsistent prior to the Oaks. Now, she's not as heavily raced as you'd think. She seems to be around quite a while. Obviously, I've seen her quite a few of her runs because she has been based in Shelburne Park, and it's easy to see why. She really is a Shelburne Park lady. But I think the fact that she's back in bitch company has really given her a confidence and an edge, and I think she's running out of her skin, as we see in the Oaks every year. Bitches like that, they've been running against the dogs, put them back into bitch company, and they find that something extra. I think 5 is probably a bit far out in terms of winning the race, but that doesn't mean she can't win it, because I think she is probably a 3 or 4 runner anyway, Jason. As you said, she probably doesn't want to be tied to the fence. So if she took a start and got the gaps when they needed, she's a big player, no question about it. But it's hard to come back to Scooby Duchess and think 14 weeks. I remember Jennifer O'Donnell telling me, yeah, the bitch is 9 weeks. I don't know if she'll be ready for the Oaks, but we'll give it a go. She trialed the following week, did an 18:50 odd. It's been slow enough, like her times. She's been picked up the last 2 nights. Her times are 28:37, 28:28, 28:26, and she does something similar the other night. Well, what's she doing the other night? Excuse me.
28.
She's doing like a 28.
18 being
28:32. Like, obviously, she's after giving away a good bit of that at the start, but she's getting there. There's no question she's getting there.
Ian, you mentioned Johnny Linehan's record in the Oaks. The trainer of track 1 is bred to win the Oaks, because her father, Matt, won the Oaks, and her mother, Frances, won the Oaks. Yeah. So what better trainer to win the Oaks this time?
Yeah, and it's amazing these stories they often do come down to sort of the same sort of names. Scooby Duchess is in 1. Droopy's next one's out in 5. The other qualifier there was Ballymargart. Tommy, I'll let you talk about Ballymargart. You're a massive fan. So am I. I think most people are. She seems to be around a long time. She's still only January 19. She ran a big race. She just, there was 2 very fast ladies on her tail.
Yeah, like she's running her heart out. I think when it comes to the likes of this level, now this the final here, she always she tends to find at this very level, in my opinion, she just falls a tiniest bit short. But I mean, it's a tiny bit. I mean, you'd be delighted to own something like her. I think is next week outing number 50 or is it 51? I think it might be 50 for her. It'd be a nice way to mark it by winning the Oaks.
It's 51. Yeah, it's 51.
Is
so
it?
the night was her 50.
Yeah,
early in the week the card doesn't update until later.
Yeah. But anyway, look, regardless, she's won 16 times. I mean, it's phenomenal. She has that consistency at the boxes. She has a tricky draw in the final. but you know she's going to have some sort of impact on the race anyway. You know, you got Scooby Duchess inside her, which means, you know, the key, the while it might be hard to fancy her to win it, she's an important player because she has the early pace and the consistency of traps to keep them all honest. And what I mean by that is if Scooby Duchess wants to win the Oaks, she's got to hold her position against Ballymac. If Raham Mofo wants to win the Oaks, she's got to find a way to get around Ballymac, more than likely get around. I can't see, even though she did a 208 last week, I can't see Raham Mofo leading on Saturday night. I'd find it a bit surprising. I still think the draw is quite favourable, even though you've got, the reason I say that is you think it mightn't be ideal when you have two really good early pacers on your inner. You might say it's tricky, but Raham Mofo, as we've talked about, steps a little bit right and will probably go for a middle line up to the first bend. So with her, she can put herself in a good position to use that finishing speed. And it's a case then, possibly a case, provided Scooby Duchess provides one or produces one of her better breaks, which you'd expect she will from trap one. If it's a case then of whether she can be strong enough or which of them can be stronger. Scooby Duchess can be strong enough to get home next Saturday night, or whether Raham Mofo was just irresistible with the finishing speed she has. So I think the draw favours both of them, would you believe, even though you mightn't necessarily think with two early pacers inside. I think it actually favours Raham Mofo.
Yeah, it sure does. She's a very fast lady, obviously enough. Ballymac, Jason, if you look at her record, it's pretty impressive in the Oaks. She was a finalist in 2020. Obviously, it was late in 2020, given the interrupted schedule. She was a semi-finalist last year, and here she is back in an
consolation Oaks winner last year as well.
Yeah, like, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, she's got a great record, and the credit to Liam keeping her in good form. No doubt she'll be in the breeding paddocks next time she breaks in season.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see her an Oaks finalist in 2023.
Definitely not.
I don't think we'll be able to afford a pup either.
No, I tell you what, I don't know about you. I certainly can't.
I guarantee he'll have one better at home.
Yeah, well, it's Liam Dowling. He could have 12 better for all we know. It's when you think she is 28, 21, and in the last few years he's had a couple of bitches that did sub 28 qualifying, and she is 28, 21 on her card. It's funny, like, she's as good as she is. He's got some ladies to call on, or he's had some ladies to call on over the last 2 to 3 years, and so we're left with an intriguing final, gentlemen. Obviously, the draw was going to be of vital importance, and it is of vital importance. Scooby Duchess is in the red jacket. Where she wants to be, I dare say, Tommy, gives her the best opportunity to win.
Yeah, it does. It definitely does, because like I've laboured the point a bit over the last number of weeks and in the past in different competitions. You kind of flirt with the exit door at times. Some stage during a competition, you likely will. Not every dog will, but you likely will. You need that little bit of luck. Hers was last week, but it was class that got her through. It was that pace she showed down. It could have been very tricky down to the third bend. It could really have been, but she showed this amazing turn of pace, and to actually be there to kind of turn effectively almost in front off the last bend, kind of, and then to safely qualify after looking in danger. So she got away with that out of trap 4. She's in trap 1 next week. Now it is key, as I said a minute ago, it is key that she does break, because Ballymac will break.
Yeah.
So it is key. She can't afford to miss it.
She's pretty consistent at boxes. I know she was somewhat the other night, and she has a 224 on her card back in, that's the back end of last year. But generally, she's in around the 206, 207, 208, 209. So you'd imagine if she does that sort of run, she's going to be the inside of whatever hits the lids.
Well, you only need to miss the break by half a length when there's a really good early pacer beside you. If there's a slow starter beside you, you can afford to miss it a length or a length and a half and still get to the bend. But she can't afford it because of Ballymac, who I think is a very important player in the final. Ballymac could end the chances of Scooby Duchess or Raham Mofo. From where her positioning will be at the first bend.
Jason, you said Scooby Duchess, and given her trainer's pedigree as well, as much as her own pedigree. Obviously, she's very, very well bred herself. Whiting's gift was out of Mount Taylor Queen, who's producing. She's closely related to Scooby Princess. She just has everything pointing in her favor. She's been installed favorite with the bookmakers. Well housed. She's going to improve. You'd imagine now, if it's week 15, like, there could be another 2 to 3 lengths to be found if she finds the start. She enters the back straight, given the pace she showed down the far side last weekend. She's going to increase her lead to the third bend. Will it be enough to see her home?
Well, I think so. I think she could, if she was a length behind Ballymac Art around the first bend and went round clear, I think, she could still win. But,
Yeah.
Don't forget Jennifer was second last year with Scooby Princess as well. So, she'd been knocking on the door. I think it'll open this time.
Yeah. Looking down through the rest of Ballymac Arts in 2, Raha Mofo is in 3, Ballymac Miranda is in 4. Tommy, she's going to be a big price. She needs plenty of luck.
She does, but she, in fairness, like she can do it both ways, as we've seen. She can break, she can stay. Yeah, it's a tricky draw. It's kind of, the way when you're trying to look at a race to sort out a race and form, you tend to try to place them at the first bend, place all the dogs at the first bend. I can't really figure out where she's going to be, and that's an issue because she needs something. She needs to find probably a length extra to be with Raha Mofo, or certainly try to be in front of Raha Mofo, and that's her best chance. I think if you want to win the Oaks on Saturday night, you need to be in front of Raha Mofo at the first bend.
She needs an absolute. She needs a bingo.
Everything.
She needs an absolute bingo break, doesn't she?
But yeah, because every greyhound does. All the other 5 bitches need to be in front of Raha Mofo at the first bend to have a chance of winning, in my opinion. Because Raha Mofo, even though she's showing early pace at the moment, or she's breaking ability, she's just so powerful from halfway that you really need to be in front of her.
Next.
I don't know.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know where Ballymac Miranda will, and it's kind of similar with Drewby's next one. Drewby's next one probably can flash the lids at times. She has low 330 kind of sections in Cork, albeit in a slightly lower mini open company. She has shown exceptional form. Her beating of Bacchus Vieira over 550 is ridiculously good. And like you said, Ian, it's when she sets up the 550 we'll probably see the best of her because of that change of gear. And that wasn't like Raha Mofo builds up from halfway. That was a change of pace from Drewby's next one the other day, but she needs to be within striking distance. Again, I think it's a tricky draw because Ballymac Miranda has the pace to pop out and be in her way as well. Another obstacle to her. So she
has one major thing in her favour. She has a 28.18 and a 28.07 on the card. So like the engine is there. She's probably not as in need of as much luck as the others, because if she gets a clear passage, she's capable of doing a 28.10 on the night. And 28.10 will generally win you the Oaks.
This is the beauty of this final. That's the depth of quality in it. You'd expect most of them to be able to. You'd expect all 6 of them to be able to do 28.20 or so, or close to it, or whatever. On a good fast track next Saturday night, they'll all go close to that, no problem, because of the ability. So it's just finding that position. As you said, she probably has a little bit more in her favour because I think she has the kind of as you say, as Aidan O'Brien likes to say about his horse's tactical speed. She has a bit of an ability to kind of quicken all of a sudden rather than build up. So they're. If she's within a couple of lengths of Scooby Duchess or Ballymac Art or Ballymac Miranda, say, at the last bend, and they're the ones that are in front of her, she has a chance of picking them up. She'll do well to pick up Raha Mofo, anything would, as I said. So I still think those first 25 yards are important. But hey, I have to kind of give some little bit of a push to the Southern Raider. So hopefully the 2 bitches will run well, come off well, and maybe one of them will win. It's tricky draw. It's hard to see. But I wouldn't, like, with all the surprises we've seen at Towcester this weekend, nothing should surprise us next weekend.
No, nothing. Anything can happen in greyhound racing. Ballymac Miranda and Drewby's next one. Jason, is it safe to say Drewby's next one is the better chance of the pair?
Yeah, it's a very next one is very closely matched with Raha Mofo. They're pretty similar type, but it's the first time that she's never. I don't think she's won wider than trap 3, and suddenly she's in 5. So, it's a tricky draw, but 4 probably will go left and 6 keeps wide. So could get a run to the bend. It's fascinating.
It could be an absolute blessing in disguise. If the top 2 go up reasonably well and Raha Mofo's in the mix and Ballymac Miranda's edging in, anything can happen. And that's why I'm going to go to Tullivan Vita last. Of the 2 outsiders, Ballymac Miranda, Tullivan Vita, I'd have to give Vita a better life simply because she's likely to get a clear run around the outside. Again, if any traffic in the inside, she just could outrun her price.
Well, she's a proper wide runner. She doesn't really cut the bends and stays wide. And if all the railers come together, she hasn't got to find that much to win.
Yeah, she's very strong. It's funny. Her weakest part, Tommy, is the tactical speed, as you said, down the back straight. Tullivan Vita. She's probably a length behind her rivals at this point in her career. That might come, but she's very strong. She'll stay on again.
Yeah, you're not going to get away with much next Saturday night because you've got Scooby Duchess, who's probably going to try to do it from the front and set a blistering pace, and the type of fraction that she'll be setting will be borderline 28-second fraction, especially as far as the last bend at least. And then you've got Rahamofo, who'll be absolutely motoring. You've got Drewby's next one, who'll be absolutely motoring. Ballymac Miranda stays well. So you've got no let up in the pace at any point of the race. You've got a lovely blend of early pace and stamina in the final to ensure that it's going to take something a little bit special. It's going to take a perfect performance, I think, to win it.
The fact that it's so competitive, that actually could stand in favour of Scooby Duchess at the inside, whereas, there could be quite a battle on for second and third into that opening corner. If she's on the fence after taking her start, she just might get that sort of extra length into the back straight.
Look, I think it's the right thing to do. I think that the Scooby Duchess is going to win it because of the draw is so favourable. The fact that she has the early pace, the fact that she has the ability, more importantly, she has the overall ability to do the clock that's going to be necessary. And like you'd imagine that if she does produce her break, if they all produce their best break, she's going to go around in front because of that acceleration and the position. So she's the one that's most likely to get everything in favour. I do quite fancy Rahamofo here because I do think she'll edge it a little bit right and get a good run at Scooby Duchess and Ballymac Art around the opening bends. But then you've got to factor in the Ballymac Miranda, who can break. Okay, she wouldn't be a massive early pacer. You've got Drewby's next one, who can break. He wouldn't be a renowned early pacer either, but like they can do something. So they're all in the middle of the track where Rahamofo will be looking for a run. Whereas like I'm just looking here at the prices of one of the sets of prices for next week. You've got 11-8 Scooby Duchess and 5-2 Rahamofo. I could see myself tipping Rahamofo next week because I think she's got a bit of swagger about her, and I think Scooby Duchess. Yes, she's saying she's coming out of season and all that. She has to be that little bit stronger next week. She has to be. Whether she is or she isn't, I don't know. And I'd forgive her an off week. When they're coming out of season, it's not absolutely. It's not just perfect that you say, hey, it's just going to happen for now all of a sudden. You know what I mean? That she's worked her way out of season to 14 weeks or whatever, and she's just all of a sudden going to do it. Maybe it will. But at 11-8 and 5-2, the value is the 11-8. Even though I can still see myself tipping Rahamofo because
I think she'll be close to even money on the night, and I think it'll be three bar. I think it'll be 3 bar.
I think at the moment the 11-8 is the value. If I had to be honest, but I can still see myself tipping Rahamofo. I would back Rahamofo at 3-1. Yeah. At 5-2, I think I'd probably leave it alone.
It's worth pointing out that none of these, look at the 6 sets of connections. None of these will be found wanting for help at the end of the lead. Jason, you'd have to imagine with Jennifer and Francis at home that Scooby Duchess is going to arrive in peak physical condition, ready to do herself justice.
Oh, definitely. I mean, if you watched the races blind last week, she was the biggest eye catcher by far. But when you look at, I like to look at age, and Rahamofo's September 20, so there's still improvement left, and she's coming forward. So like I say, it's fascinating. It's a great battle.
I got to speak for all of us. It's a clean sweep with Scooby Duchess. Then we're all going for Scooby Duchess, are we?
I'm going to go Rahamofo, even though because I just think there's something a little bit special about her performance, and we all like a bit of swagger in her performance, and she has that. She can do it that way from off the pace and whatever else. So I'm just going to go with her. I think like Jason said, she's a September pup. She's very, very young. She has done stuff in the last 4 weeks which she hadn't previously shown, and who's to say that there's not more to come?
Yeah, Jason.
1-5-3.
1-5-3. I'll go 1-3-5. Tommy. You're going 3-1-5?
Yeah.
God, yeah. I hope you don't meet Kieran or Johnny this week now, after tipping against them.
Oh, no, that's your mother's favourite combination for the TriCast as well, Ian.
It is, yeah.
Numbers.
Always in the last race.
The last race.
Doesn't matter what was on. It could be 50-1, 20-1, and 100-1. She had 1-3-5 always in the last race. Gentlemen, it's a great Oaks. We look forward to Saturday night's action. Again, a reminder that bumper edition this week, Jason. Lots going on. I believe Anne-Marie O'Brien was speaking to the 6 sets of connection. So every reason to pick up a Sporting Press before Saturday night.
A great read as always, but even better this week.
Perfectly said. We'll move on because there was a lot happening over the weekend. Let's quickly go through the race of champions. Susie Sapphire did it from the front. Tommy, your issue with Susie Sapphire is that first run back always. Now that she's got it under her belt, she should be ready and primed to run a big race in the final, but the draw has thrown it open. But it was just great to see her back to winning ways.
Yeah, it was. And probably to be honest, pretty good competition to for her to come back into and try build a bit of confidence as well. Like, it's high class, and you need all your early speed that she showed the other night, because Good Cody ran a superb race in defeat. You know, and having a couple of runs then is probably ideal for her. Great to see her back is right. Of course, you want to see it again, because we have seen her in flashes this year. Well, since the Easter Cup, we've seen, you know, there's been flashes of kind of her brilliance. But yeah, I'd like to see her back and kind of just prime purely for a derby. But whatever she achieves, it doesn't really matter at this stage, to my mind.
Oh, at this stage, it doesn't matter, you know, and like that's just us trying to keep the pressure off her, because we want to see her back and producing every bit as much as she did last year. But Jason, she's something special. It was great to see her back. You know, she didn't take one of her absolute big starts, but she was just too sharp for them. You know, Good Cody is a hell of a good greyhound. At one point this year, he touched favoritism for the Boyle Sports Irish Greyhound Derby, and he may well still be in the top 3 or 4 in the betting. He's a very talented tracker, but she always kept him at arm's length.
Well, she flew out, and he came out okay. But he won the Kingdom Derby there last year. He won the Irish Sprint Cup in record time. He just needs to find his trapping boots. But it's another fascinating race. You've got Explosive Boy, who's staying on better, probably not got that zip to the bend that he had. And Susie Sapphire, she can't afford any mistakes out of track 3. Skywalker Barry, no mug, Gold Cup winner this year in 4. Not a great draw, but if he comes out, he's going left. Bocco's Budsit, fastest sectional of the night, and Good Cody in 6. I don't think 6 is a bit too far out for him, but if he took a flyer, who knows?
Yeah, well done. Well done. You fought the urge to say he's lost a bit of his explosiveness. I did like that. I would have just jumped right in there and used it. But listen, all to themselves. Tommy, Explosive Boy, won the second heat. Bocco's Buds, it showed tremendous early speed. He's just one that just might cause a little bit of upset to Susie Sapphire, in a sense where if he took another flying start, she might just get things all her own way. If she's going to have to ping anyway to clear Explosive Boy. But if she does, she still has to get around in front of Bocco's Budsit.
Yeah, but it is that type of track. You can't afford it. I know you said that Susie Sapphire was a little bit below her best in terms of explosiveness early last week. You can't really afford that around Tralee. You need to do things right, because it is a fast track. You do fast 525 times. You do fast 550 times down there. And I think she'll have to be at her best. But as I said to you, and this isn't just taking any pressure off her, but I don't mind as long as she comes off safe and she's ready for a derby. I don't mind.
Yeah, well, she was absolutely bouncing. I met Owen McKenna on Saturday night at Shelburne, and he said, sure, she's just the same. She should have gone again this morning. Jason, it's a great race to look forward to. What are you siding with in the final?
You've got to side with Susie Sapphire. If she comes out in front, what's going to pick her up? But it's not clear cut, and I think she's as big as 7-4.
Yeah. To win. Yeah, it did seem a bit big. It's like it's 7-4 on the start, Tommy, and that's one thing she's going to do is start.
15-8 Explosive Boy, 7-4 Susie Sapphire, and swap them around, and it's even money in 3-1 probably. That's something closer to that sort of thing. So look, I just hope she wins it. I hope she wins it. I'll a bit like I was saying about Merck last week in the semi-finals. I'll be closing my eyes for the first 25-50 yards even.
I wouldn't close your eyes. You missed plenty in those first 35 yards.
That's okay. Yeah.
England. Paul Hennessy did it again. Price's Jet broke a track record. He regained his own track record. He broke it last year. People seem to forget that. He broke it in the trial stake ahead of last year's competition. It was great to see the old fella flying, Jason. I actually, would you believe, I tipped him, and in that media challenge I napped him because I just thought he was too big a price. And everyone says, "Oh, he can't win. Look at the way he's run. Hasn't won since the previous August, and it's been so long since he won. He hit the front in the previous round. He got picked up." I said, Paul Hennessy's been doing it for 30 years. The night to back his dogs, the night after they put in maybe not a poor run, but where they haven't sort of lived up to the billing. And Price's Jet lived up to the billing the other night. It was over after a stride.
Oh, as soon as the traps opened, he'd won. I mean, last year, I think he set the track record 29-11, something like that.
Yeah.
And for me, it was very disappointing for most of the year. When that dog leads and gets picked up by another dog, a Corn Cullen winner, it's, you can't believe your eyes. I couldn't have backed him the other night with Counterfeit. But I've been that soldier, and I just at this stage I will never rule out Paul. Never rule him out. But just on his form, I could not have him on my mind. But now he's what is he, 5-6 to 1? The bet for the field in the English Derby. The bet 15-8 the field last week. with was it 48 runners?
Yeah.
Now we're down to 12 and it's 40 on the field.
Yeah, and I'd say if you go shopping around, you can probably find 9 to 2.5 about any dog you want to back.
Of course.
Yeah,
it's what makes it protecting the liabilities.
Tommy, Kildare ran well to qualify in second spot. He completely missed a kick. He just hasn't had a start. I keep harking back to that semi-final of the Kirby when he hit the lids. I always said it was the false start. He has never started before it or since. I still think there is a start in him, but he's going to need to find his trapping boots pretty sharpish.
Tended to move off at the first bend, which was costing him lengths as well. He was just kind of edging off without running right off the bend. He was edging off. I actually think he's a great draw on Saturday night.
He's on the outside of Hello Hammond.
Yeah.
Hello Hammond will edge off. Now he should be sharp enough.
But he should be sharper. He should be sharper. Yeah. You got Make Noise on your outside. That's fine. Has early pace. Obviously, Coppice Fox is in for. Lataro is just not breaking. He's just not doing it right at the moment. And Price's Jet is out in 6. So if Kildare is to be a player in to go and win the competition, he kind of has to show it up here because this is a great makeup for him now.
Yeah, it is.
I think it's perfect makeup.
The presence of Make Noise in track 3. I mean, first bend, that dog's car park. Yeah. So if Kildare is on his inside, it could be left clear. And Hello Hammond, I think I'd beat that to the bend. So, Kildare is the one to get clear. Hello Hammond will be flying at the finish.
But Jason, would you be able to hold him from halfway now? That's the big question.
Definitely not.
Jason, I like the way.
Go on.
I like the way he's settling into the scene. That's what we want to hear.
Hello Hammond. Hello Hammond. Speaking of Hello Hammond, won the second quarter final, but it sort of nearly got lost that Hello Hammond did the running he did to win from where he was. It was an incredible run, but it sort of got lost in the fact that Ballinabula Ed got knocked out, despite running an incredible race to the third bend, and even to a point where, as he's hitting the fourth bend, he still looked like the winner. There was a bump between himself and Aussie Captain at the last bend, and it looked for all the world that he was fading badly, but it was just a complete momentum killer. And there was so many strong running greyhounds behind him. He was in trouble. They got by him. He actually stayed on again to the escape. So it was just one of those things. I think people are reading a bit too much into it. If he had stayed a little bit wider off the final bend, he probably wins. Never mind qualifies. As it happens, he didn't. That's the look of the draw, Tommy. He's gone.
Yeah, you'd be exasperated with the track at times because you just don't understand it. I mean, you like to be able to understand what's happened because he missed it completely, but he showed fantastic pace. He's an absolute 101 to qualify and probably tends on to win the heat, even like going down to the third bend where he is. They kind of ran the last two bends together. Now, maybe that's, as you say, maybe it's a case of getting a bump and just not having that extra bit of energy to get around. But it was a bit like Pat Buckley must be talking to himself this morning thinking, how the hell did that happen? How did Sing Along Sally not qualify? How did Ballinabula Ed not qualify? I mean, I can't figure it out. Even Sing Along Sally, where she was down the back, I think she's going to win the heat. And she doesn't qualify. And I know she got trouble at the fourth to check slightly at the last bend and whatever else. But you must be talking, saying, I don't know what more I need to do with these. You know what I mean? They were in perfect condition. They've both been running exceptionally well, and all of a sudden, for they both look a certainty to qualify to the semi-finals, and then both are gone. I say it has me confused. Jason put it perfectly. They've gone from 15 to 8 the field to 4 to 1 the field now in an English Derby, and we're at the semi-final stage. Also, just to say the point on Kildare, I won't have done my job right if the 11 to 4 still exists by the end of the day for that heat next. By the time you're listening to this, if the 11 to 4 still exists, I've done a bad job. I'm sorry.
Basically means he didn't get on. Jason, Ballinabula Ed is gone. Big run by Hello Hammond. But again, Ballinabula Ed, it was just one of those things. It was racing, wasn't it?
Well, it was. Hello Hammond, I mean, you can never rule him out because he plugs on well and really finishes well. But at Towcester, it's like the Bermuda Triangle. They come round that third bend and you think, here they go, Sing Along Sally's going to win, Ballinabula Ed's going to win. And they don't even qualify. Nothing seems to come past on those last two bends. I don't know why. I can't work it out. I just prefer leave Towcester alone.
Yeah, well, we'll touch on Romeo Magico before we get on to Sing Along Sally. I have a thought on Sing Along Sally race, but anyway, Romeo Magico, it was great to see him actually starting. Even just starting on terms, he showed his class, his early speed, got to the front. Like, he's taken on some top class greyhounds. Obviously, the previous track record holder Lataro was there in 6 and signed at Denver in trap 3. Our own bobsleigh Dream, she missed the kick, didn't happen for her, ran off the corner, found traffic. But Romeo Magico, this is the Romeo Magico we saw earlier in the year. Tommy, Jason, he's an exceptionally fast dog. A British bred, of course, Jason, Romeo Magico for David Firminger, who's, obviously has a really, really good standard of dog around him for quite some time now. But I'd say Graham Holland was chuffed with Romeo Magico.
Oh, he was. I mean, he's a real hit and miss dog. When he hits, he's as fast as anything, but he often misses. But he's got a great makeup next week. If he's got trap 1, Savannah Bow, quite slow up, Dealish Frankie, another hit and miss dog, won the Monmore Puppy Derby. Mickey's Barrett keeps wide. So I think the key to the race is Sign It Goofy, unbeaten in the stake. It would have been any price at the start. And he keeps coming out, and they all think he'll keep coming back to him. Sing Along Sally was right up his backside the other night, couldn't come past, and didn't qualify. And this dog went on and won.
Yeah, I'm going to get to that now. Right, this is it. We're on to the last of the 4 quarterfinals. Sign It Goofy stays nice in middle all the way down the back straight, gets to the 3rd and 4th bends, and all of a sudden becomes a railer. That infuriated me, obviously, enough as a Sing Along Sally backer. If she'd got through at the last bend, I don't think Sign It Goofy wins, and I think he struggles to qualify. But as it is, she checks off the back, hits trap 6, and all of a sudden there's a big gap again, and nothing's able to get to Sign It Goofy. But genuinely, I think if Sing Along Sally had stayed even tight to the fence, just waited that extra yard or two, gets up the inside of Sign It Goofy. Genuinely, the way Mickey's Barrett was closing, we know Savannah Bow, Kilkenny Santi, and Ballymac Belvolt are all going to be charging home. I'm not even sure if he qualifies. As it is, he wins by 3 1/4 lengths. That's greyhound racing in a nutshell. He's still unbeaten in the competition, and he's there, and he's a player because his early speed is going to see him going around the front more often than not. Obviously, he's only 2 starts left in the Derby if he qualifies next week. He can play a big part in the Derby, but as I said, I think he was a fraction lucky to even get through the other night.
You'd rather be lucky in front than unlucky in behind, Ian.
That's where you want to be, out in front in this situation. Certainly, if you're hitting the 3rd bend at Towcester, there's only one place you want to be, is on the bunny.
In front, exactly. But I mean, he's very well bred, Sign It Goofy. I think his brother won the Laurels. Sign at Denver.
His dam won a Sporting Press Irish Oaks.
Exactly, yeah. So let's get all the plugs in now.
Tommy, Sign It Goofy's unbeaten, the only unbeaten dog in the Derby.
403, 404, 406. That's why. But if you would pick those 6 out as six greyhounds to be in a semi-final of a Derby, I would have been surprised at most of them, not all of them, but I would have been surprised at most of them, I'll be honest about it. It doesn't look wildly strong. I think like he'll be out in front again, but Romeo Magico has got a great makeup yet again if he can break. I think there has to be, and it might take a bit more looking at, but there has to be some value in there. There's a lot of those you'd be saying, looking at them, you'd be saying, well, that can't win a Derby, even though it's in the semi-final. That can't win a Derby. That can't win a Derby. That can't win a Derby. You got to be able to cut it down to some point and say there has to be some value left. Maybe Jason spotted it. I haven't spotted it yet, but apart from Kildare for the semi-final.
Yeah, it comes down to the fact that Ireland now have four runners remaining. Romeo Magico is in the opening heat in his own, and he does look like he has a good makeup. Jason certainly pointed that out. If he hits the lids, he should be qualifying. And the second heat, 3 Irish. With the exception of Lataro, they'll be dominating the market because Make Noise and Coppice Fox will be available at any prices. It's going to be hard to keep Hello Hammond out of the frame, no matter what wins it. Kildare probably has the makeup. Price's Jet is going to need to ping again because Lataro is not going to be an easy nut to crack in 5. So, there is still a possibility of the 4 Irish finalists, which would be an unbelievable achievement. But I think we'd settle for 3 at this stage, Jason.
Oh. Yeah, Hello Hammond, I'd say he'd be odds on to qualify. Kildare is odds on to qualify. And the rest of them, probably Lataro's odds on to qualify. Priceless Jet's got to do it all right. And Make Noise has not been making much noise since he won the English Puppy Derby, but he is running better. Coppice Fox is relatively unexposed. Kildare's got a great makeup. There's no doubt about that. But he's got a great makeup, but he's got to capitalise from that great makeup. He's got to come out the traps.
We're at a point where in Towcester that seems to be the ongoing issue. You just need to trap. If you trap, Tommy, you're halfway there.
It feels like a race where a bit like last year when things just came right in the final for the winner, Thorn Falcon, when it just did everything right in the night. It just feels like that's going to happen next week. You can be looking here or trying to look at the prices, as you said, Ian. It is fives the field. You can look and say Lataro hasn't been doing it, but only has to do it once, probably. You know what I mean? Yeah. Probably can qualify through here, and then you might forget about the three
massive connections to your part of the world again.
Yeah, exactly. Come out of is it Liam O'Keefe's? I think the Cunningar dogs. I think they came out of here. Trialed exceptionally well. Was sold for good money. Like he's justified his sale. He's justified what he had shown as a young dog, and he's in the semi-final of an English Derby. He'll probably be in the final. I think looking at, I think he'd probably be in the final of it. But I'm the more I see of Towcester, the more it's a case of taking a race as an individual entity rather than thinking about what dogs have done in the competition before, or what, as Jason pointed out to us a couple of weeks ago when he was talking about the clocks and the likes of that. Don't read too much into them. Take it as an individual entity and the makeup of the race, and suggest to yourself that all the dogs can produce their very best, and go from there. And I think maybe Lataro is just the type of one that just might show nothing or very little in qualifying next Saturday night, and all of a sudden explode in the final and win it.
Yeah, he broke the clock from trap 4 in the opening round, and given the fact that there's 4 middles, 2 wides, there's every strong chance he could be in 3 or 4 or 5 in the final. If you got 4 in the final, I'm sure he'll start favourite no matter what happens next weekend.
But if you look at his the 3 rounds since breaking the record in the first round, you would say he's just a bit part player, wouldn't you? Almost.
Yeah, unbelievable. Jason, great weekend to look forward to. Sporting Press Irish Oaks, you're on Scooby Duchess. What's going to win the English Derby?
It's all on the trap draw in the final. Something out the middle. I say trap 3 or 4.
Yeah, I said it in the very nice terms on Saturday night. I haven't a bloody clue what's happening. I don't know what's going to win the English Derby. It's that type of competition. Tommy, if you had to have a free bet, what would it be?
Oh God, but I honestly God don't know. I'll be taking this one race when the time comes. I'll take my chance on Kildare the weekend, but I wouldn't be certain that Kildare will go and win a final either.
Okie dokie. Well, let's see. It'll all come down to the start and the final, I'm sure.
Paul Hennessy won a Wimbledon Derby, won a Nottingham Derby, and now he's trying to win a Towcester Derby.
Yeah, and he's got 2 still there. It'd be some achievement to get the 2 of them through to the final. The very best of luck to all the Irish runners. Best of luck to all the 12 runners, because most of them are coming from Irish shores originally anyway. The very best of luck to all involved. Gentlemen, that's it from us this weekend. We've Sporting Press Island edition Irish Oaks final to look forward to on Saturday night. Semi-finals of the English Derby. We have the Race of Champions, of course, at the weekend also. Lots to look forward to. We'll have lots to talk about next Monday. Before I go, just one more mention of the IGOBF. They are running a English Derby Buster draw. There's details on Talking Dogs. You can check out their website, www.igobf.org, and there'll be details of the Buster draw there. It's all for a very good cause. All the money raised will go back into Irish Greyhound racing. But that's it from us this weekend.
Ian, before you go,
sorry, Jason, go ahead.
One golf tip. I've heard you standing too close to the ball
after I hit
it.
Yeah, that can be an issue, all right. My problem isn't I'm actually not generally my problem. My problem is I'm standing too straight after I hit it, and the ball is 80 yards right or it's 80 yards left, and unfortunately I don't know which way it's going to go. Listen, we'll try and sort that out. Gentlemen, a pleasure as always. Best of luck to everybody involved in the Sporting Press Online edition Irish Oaks. We'll see you next week. Good luck. God bless.